Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder if talking things out and learning new coping skills can actually make a difference for kids dealing with a big health challenge like type 1 diabetes? Well, this new study dives deep into just that, exploring how certain types of support can impact the lives of young people managing this condition. So, type 1 diabetes or T1D is a lifelong condition that requires a lot of daily effort to manage. It is not just about taking insulin or checking blood sugar. For kids and teens, it can bring a whole lot of emotional and social challenges too. They might worry about low blood sugar, feel stressed about constantly managing their health, and even experience anxiety. All of this can really affect how they feel about their life overall, which scientists call health-related quality of life, or HRQoL. Basically, HRQoL is how people feel about their health and their life, considering all the ups and downs of their condition and its treatment. Now, doctors and experts know that when kids feel better emotionally and socially, they often manage their diabetes better too. So the big question this research tackles is, do special psychosocial interventions actually help improve the quality of life for these young people? And if so, what exactly are these interventions doing? That is where this study comes in. The researchers wanted to look at all the available research on these psychosocial interventions and see what the evidence really says. They weren't just interested in whether they worked, but also in how they worked. What are these programs actually teaching? Who are they trying to help within the family? And how are they delivered? To do this, they did a super thorough search of scientific papers. They looked for studies that tested these interventions on kids and teens up to 18 years old with type 1 diabetes. They specifically wanted to see studies where participants were randomly put into either the intervention group or a control group. This is like a gold standard for research because it helps make sure any results are truly due to the intervention. They focused on studies that measured health-related quality of life. They found a bunch of studies, 11 in total, involving over 2,000 young people. They then carefully examined each intervention. They looked at the ideas behind them, the specific activities or skills taught, who the intervention was aimed at, and how it was delivered, like online, in groups, or one-on-one. They also assessed the quality of each study to make sure the findings were reliable. So what did they find? The big main takeaway is that these psychosocial interventions do help. When they crunched all the numbers from 5 of the studies that had enough good data, they found that kids and teens who participated in these programs reported a small but real improvement in their health-related quality of life compared to those who didn't get the special intervention. Now, small but statistically significant might sound a little underwhelming, but let's break it down. The statistically significant part, especially with that low p-value, tells us that it is very unlikely this improvement was just a fluke or random chance. It means the interventions likely had a real effect, and the small part means it wasn't a massive, life-changing jump. But a noticeable positive step, what is really interesting is that these improvements in quality of life were often linked to improvements in other areas too. The researchers found that kids in these programs often got better at managing their emotions, had better family interactions, and improved their self-management skills for their diabetes. These benefits in how they felt and acted were more common than direct improvements in their blood sugar levels, like HbA1c. Digging a bit deeper into how these interventions work, the study revealed something fascinating. Even though the programs came from different backgrounds like cognitive behavioral therapy, family support, or motivational interviewing, they all tended to include a similar set of core ideas. They often taught things like psychoeducation, which is learning about diabetes and how to cope. They taught problem-solving skills, how to communicate better with family, and strategies to stay motivated and manage their health. The things they aimed to improve were also similar, building confidence in their own abilities, reducing worry and stress about diabetes, improving how the family functions together, and boosting self-management. Here is a really important point the researchers made. While all the programs mentioned the theories they were based on, they didn't really test how those theories were working. It was like they used the theory as a general explanation for why they were doing things, but they didn't specifically check if, for example, learning a new coping skill directly led to feeling less stressed, which then led to better quality of life. They didn't really test the step process. Now, every study has its limitations, and this one is no different. One big challenge is that it is really hard to blind people in these kinds of studies. That means it is tough to hide who is getting the real intervention and who isn't, especially for the participants and the people running the programs. This can sometimes lead to a bit of bias because people might expect to feel better if they know they're getting help. Also, not all studies had enough participants or reported all the necessary details. which meant they couldn't include all the research in the final number crunching. And as we saw, measuring quality of life can be tricky, and different studies use different tools. So, what is the big picture here? What does this all mean for us? Well, this research tells us that focused psychosocial support can indeed make a positive difference for young people with type 1 diabetes. It might not be a magic bullet that instantly fixes everything, but it offers a reliable way to improve how they feel about their lives. The fact that these interventions often help with emotional well-being, family relationships, and self-management skills is super important. It suggests that supporting the person as a whole, not just their physical health, is key. The finding that many different kinds of interventions share common active ingredients like teaching coping skills and involving families is also a big deal. It means we can learn from what is working and potentially create even better, more accessible programs. The researchers suggest that instead of coming up with totally new theories, we might get further by refining these proven components and really understanding the mechanisms behind them. Looking ahead, the researchers are calling for future studies to be designed with quality of life as a main goal, not just a secondary one. They also emphasize the need for studies to be large enough to detect these smaller but important effects and to actively test how the interventions are working. And of course, finding ways to make these interventions available to everyone who needs them, not just a select few, is crucial. This research is a great reminder that managing a chronic illness is a journey that involves not just the body, but the mind and the whole family too. By focusing on psychosocial support, we can truly help young people with type 1 diabetes live fuller, happier lives. What do you think about these findings? Do you have any personal experiences with interventions like these? Or know someone who might benefit? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this explanation helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with others who might be interested, and don't forget to subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more deep dives into fascinating research. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.